Hey, welcome everyone. It's been a very exciting time over here at Smartcat. We have really been innovating and building and planning to bring to the world our Smartcat AI agents that are here to do some of the work for you, take off a lot of the manual work that you don't like doing around launching global content. We're very excited to introduce this to you today. We'll be, going through everything that we're launching. We'll give you a demo to show you what it looks like. This is, our first announcement to the world of this happening, and then it will be rolling out to customers and our future customers on the call here later this month. But before we dive into that, I definitely want to welcome you. We only exist and we're here really to serve our customers, and we also make sure that we do that by taking care of our employees too, right? It's really all about our customers and the employees that are here to build for you. So thank you for being here today. We appreciate you and your time to come and learn a little bit more about Smartcat or get the latest updates. If you've been with us for a long time, we wouldn't be here without you. And since we have such a great mix of both customers, or maybe you're brand new, or maybe this is the first time you're ever hearing about Smartcat, before we dive into what's new, we're going to give you a little bit of background on just a little of who Smartcat is. So that way everybody's starting on the same page. And I'm starting off with our mission and why we're here. And Smartcat truly wants to live in a world where there's equal access to global innovations and ideas. So, no matter what kind of company you are that works with us, whether you're trying to, train your global employees, whether you're launching products across the world, whether you've got a website that operates in multiple different countries and languages, your innovations and ideas matter. And we want to help you get those to as many markets and as many people as possible. And, we've been doing this for a long time, really helping organizations scale that global content, keeping the quality high and delivering that in a way that you can truly trust. One of our customers here with Brinks, they've been with us for a while, and we've been able to give them that really efficient, scalable, and brand consistent way to get their content to the world. And they're in a very regulated industry, right? They're carrying some of the world's most precious materials, right? The money that we use, and it has to be super secure. And the people that they train have to know very technical aspects of their business in every language. We're definitely a trusted way to do that. And we love working with customers like that and like you. And beyond that, we serve a lot of different diverse types of customers, whether you've got millions of products, lots of websites, you have very complicated, complex pieces of your product, or even in like pharmaceutical and life sciences and medical, where a lot of those words are hard to get into lots of different languages. You can trust that we're here for you. And then, of course, we work where you work, right? Smartcat can integrate with a lot of the current tech that's in your ecosystem. So, we're friendly in the places that you like to work today, as well as we built a platform that truly has a lot of love. You can see it in the chat of people who use us today. We've built the groundwork of our platform and being AI and being secure and being well rated with a lot of great companies who trust the quality of content that we can launch to any market in the world. So that's a little intro and background on Smartcat. So, I'll get this intro piece out and really get you into what you want to talk about today. And I'll introduce our speakers. So I want to introduce to you Brooke Starling. She is a part of our marketing team here who has been behind this incredible launch of our AI agents, as well as Falk Gottlob, our Chief Product Officer, another driving force of the product innovation that you are going to see here today. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Brooke.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm really excited to be here and speak with you all today. And so first I'll kick us off with AI agents are here, right? The reality is you've heard about it in the news. You're probably using some form of AI today, and you've already really felt that shift that AI is here to stay and everyone is investing in it. Your executives are probably asking you to do more with less because AI is supposed to make that possible, right? But AI agents aren't just a buzzword either. Most CEOs believe AI will reshape their business, how they work, how customers are served, really changing so much of how we do work today. Even Mark Benioff at Salesforce even says today's CEOs may be the last to lead teams made up only of humans. So clearly something big is happening and we need to pay attention. So let's zoom in on what's happening right now and what's coming next in the AI world. So, predictive AI started over a decade ago. It gave us better analytics, deeper insights, and more personalized experiences across most tools. But then entered Gen AI, which is a complete game changer. So, you have tools like ChatGPT, Copilot's assistants, and they're really embedded in where you're working. So, this improved the experience, but they still required a lot of manual work. You had to generate content in one place, then copy it somewhere else. Well, as we get into this next wave of AI agents, this really is taking it to the next step. In this first wave, they automate simple tasks. So more content from or move content from one place and then run research, send alerts. These tasks don't require much of creativity yet, but that's changing fast. And that's going to take us into this wave two of agentic AI. And that's really where we're moving with Smartcat as well. It's really where they can pick something up, verify it, convert it, create it, and push it right back to the place that you're working and give you a dashboard so you can stay in control. And that's where, we then go into this next wave of digital teammates. And that's what CEOs like Mark Benioff mean when they say these agents will become true digital teammates. They'll work alongside you, driving massive productivity gains. And the future is really about scaling productivity 1000x, humans and AI working together in service of your customers. So, with digital teammates handling that repetitive work, you can move faster and focus on the strategic parts of your job. But let's pause for a moment. Do you feel a little lost in translation here with all of this AI and AI agents talk? Do you actually know what it means for you? And you're not alone. There's a lot of noise out there. And, everyone's talking about it, but few are really explaining what that actually means for you in your day to day. So let's bring it back to really why we're here. Well, first, you're being asked by your executives to do more with less. So, creating more content across more markets with fewer resources. And your customers expect more too. They want your campaigns, products, and content available in their market the moment that they launch, not weeks or months later. But too much of your day to day still goes to exporting files, then translating them, then copy and pasting them back into the files, and even chasing updates from maybe your translator that you've hired. So it's not always just the translation part that can be a lot. It's really the project management side of it too. But imagine a workflow that creates, translates, and localizes your global content and then routes it for review, updates the status, and drops the finished file right back where it belongs. That's really what AI agents are built to deliver. So they can take on those manual, time-consuming tasks so you can actually do more with less. And then also, scale is really important. You need to move fast, but never at the expense of quality. So every piece of content must be accurate, it must be on brand, and it needs to be localized so it resonates in every market. So that means AI that does the work for you, but it also knows your brand voice. It applies the right terminology, and it continuously learns from every edit made. So, when human insight is needed, the agent should bring in the right expert, whether it be your internal team or maybe a network of trusted linguists. So, with AI and human expertise working together, you can publish in every market with confidence, knowing it will be right the first time. And then lastly, you need an intuitive platform. You need a UI that's easy to use and feels more like working with a teammate. So, like chatting with someone in Slack or tagging them in a document on Google. So you really just need something that feels more human and flexible with how you work. And SmartCat is solving for exactly what you need: more automation, better quality, and a better user experience. AI agents are how we deliver on that. So with that, I am very excited to officially introduce your new digital teammates, SmartCat AI agents. So these expert-enabled agents do the work for you. So they automatically create, translate, and localize your global content at the same time. So this means that content is ready to launch day one in every language, market, and file type. So they follow your brand voice and terminology, and they're continuously learning from feedback, whether it comes from your internal teams or SmartCat's global network of translators and linguists. So that's really how you achieve true globalization, delivering content to every market faster with consistent quality and at the scale your business needs. And so, as part of this launch, we are introducing three exciting changes that will be coming to the platform. First is this built-in teammate that's right in the Smartcat platform. So in my opinion, most SaaS tools are overdue for a refresh. So we wanted Smartcat to feel different, more human, more intuitive, and more like working with a teammate than using a tool. So there is now a built-in teammate right in the Smartcat platform. It's a conversational interface that lets you simply tell you what you need. So you can say things like start a new project in 5 languages. Show me the status of the latest course translation, or find my open support tickets. Smartcat gives you instant answers, it takes action, and it guides you through the platform. So this is a way more intuitive user experience that saves you time, it reduces friction within our platform, and actually supports the way that you work. We're also introducing pre-built agents. So these are built around the most common content creation, translation, and localization needs. These are the agents that some of the agents that we've built. So some examples are the document translation agent or PDF translation agent. And they really are just designed to handle the work for you. So if you need to move fast, pre-built agents are a great starting point for that. You get more automation and that less manual work. So you're able to launch faster in every market. All right, and last but not least, we know your workflows are not one size fits all. So we're also introducing Agent Builder to let you build agents around the way your teams actually work. So you can set your own workflows, which steps run automatically, and where humans step in for review or approval. So every department or region, even by project, you can set its own rules and preferences. So do you need an agent maybe to pull a draft from your CMS, route it to legal review, and then publish the approved version in 5 languages? You can build an agent for that. Let's say you want a different path for marketing assets that require brand approval. You can build an agent for that too. So Agent Builder really gives you the flexibility and control you've been asking for with automation that adapts to how your team actually works. All right, so everything we've talked through today is really designed to solve the challenges you're facing today. So with SmartCat AI agents, you can get automation where it makes sense, control where you need it, and quality you can count on across every market. It's really how you shorten time to market and deliver consistent, high-quality content at scale. So with that, I know you all are dying to see what this actually looks like, so I'm going to pass it over to Falk to give a demo.
Hello, everyone, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Warm welcome from warm and sunny San Francisco here from me. First of all, thank you so much for spending time with us here and giving us a chance to demo to you what we've been up to. Let me share my screen to now walk you through these fundamental changes that we're implementing into our product. We all have been using the typical SaaS-like application for many years, right? Like, doesn't matter which tool you're using, there's always some navigation, some form that lets you enter data that is then stored in a database, retrieved from a database, some workflow that you might or might not be able to configure. But ultimately, that's not really how we work together as a team, right? When I think how I work with Brooke or Nicole on my team here, right? We are not sending each other forms or ask them to fill out something so we can store it in a database, right? Or to navigate through some navigation to then find what we need to do together. And that is a shift that we are making here, right? Ultimately, we are not talking to databases anymore with our software. We are talking to AI. We're talking to intelligence. We are talking to the system that can actually better understand what my intent is and what I want to do, right? And we strongly believe that the software of the future should feel more like how we have a conversation in Slack, in Teams, over chat messages, right? How we interact in meetings, how we interact with teams. And that is the shift we're making in our software. And what you will see here, and I want to walk you through some distinct different examples, we put right here in the center this chat interface. tell me what you want to do, right? Hey, what are you up to? What can I do for you? That is sort of the kind of interface we want to create and not fill out a form so you can put things in it, right? While while you see here some fundamental changes to our current experience, we still want you for the time being give you access to our navigation structure so you can find your projects and you can find your task and you can assign linguists to complete specific steps. But we will now heavily invest into this conversational interface here, right? That will work with you to ultimately get work done for you, with you, in a way how you communicate to your team members. Let me show you a little bit more here how our user interface itself will evolve. You will see a very simple navigation, right? No more, let me figure out where to find something. You simply ask for it here right in the center. But it also gives you immediate access to the agents that are pre-configured or that are configured by you based on your workflows, right? You see there are some recent used ones, recommended for your team created, right? Specific integrations, and so on, all the way down to some simpler reporting. You see it's a very light interface. It's very simple. Let me now actually show you how your work with Smartcat will evolve and how you now actually can get work done together with our platform. Ultimately, you type in here what you want to do. You know you're working on very specific projects at the moment, right? And you want to see what the status is. Of course, we will notify you when your attention is needed, but maybe someone comes to you and say like, hey, what's going on with this specific website translation? You click on it, and at this point, you're not searching for it. You're not looking at databases. You interact with our platform in the same way how you would interact with a teammate. Um, hey, like Smartcat, show me the last projects here, right? Oh, I found a few. Let me show them to you. Now we show you what is going on in our platform, the project that you're currently working on, right? To translate specific things. And okay, that's great. You could now jump in and look at all the things you want to look for, but you might not find what you're looking for. So instead of changing filters and redefining the search and searching different, you simply type in what you want and see what happens, right? You start interacting with the platform in a more intuitive way. You see everything is now centering around this conversation in the same way how you ask for support or your team member to do something to find your projects, right? You can refine it again and again and again, right? So we believe that that is really the future of how software should actually interact with you, and we are going all in and working with you on that exact kind of interface where you only have Smartcat you talk to and then actually get work done together, right? This was a simple example. Let me find a project, right? But let me jump to a different example where you actually want to now generate like some text right away. So we are moving way past just translation. We are moving into the content generation space where you could even generate content in our platform and then translate it from there, localize it automatically in one place. We're doing that already for learning content today. We are moving into marketing content here next, right? But ultimately, the same kind of interaction with our platform. The same way how you go to your marketing team and say like, hey, I need to create this specific campaign. Could you create that for me, right? And from that moment on, you start providing feedback. Hey, like, change it in this way, change it in that way. The beauty of all of this is not like a chat GPT kind of outside in look from about your organization. This system here is learning from your experts. It's learning on an ongoing basis from how you interact. You start talking about a new product launch, and from that moment on, it knows about it. It will then take that knowledge to the next team, right? So when your product team starts thinking about a new product idea, it will learn from your experts. It will learn how they talk about the value of that product, the name of the product. So when you then go to the marketing team and say like, hey, like launch a marketing campaign or even translate these specific documents, It already has learned from your experts. It already has learned your inside, your secret sauce of your company, right in the background. And that is extremely powerful in this mix. But here again, you can, like even here, immediately go back and search for your projects and it will change context. So you don't actually have to jump into specific settings anymore. You can just talk to Smartcat and it will get you, show you, take you wherever you want to go in this whole mix, right? Now let me show you a different example, right? Once in a while we create then, some new product names or some new terminology that is really important for us. We work across our teams to then also establish what that would look like translated into other languages. And you want to bring this into the platform. Of course, just listening to the conversation and edits is probably not the best way to do it, right? There's probably a faster way. You already created it. And here again, you upload the file into our platform. You just say like, hey, could you please update the glossary for me? And you attach the file, right? And you say, okay, Smartcat is now processing in the background that file for you, right? It analyzes your current glossary, it sees that there's a delta between them, and it starts updating. From here, you could then also say, hey, like that last translation here is not what I need. This is not the right thing. Please change it, right? And of course, and like on purpose, sometimes we have some spelling mistakes and so in here, just to show you that it doesn't have to be correct. The beauty is it also works in any language, right? It doesn't have to be English. It could be German, French, Mandarin, whatever language you want to talk to Smartcat to, right? It will work in this way. So now let's assume that this is all great, but you need more guidance, right? Let's assume you have a question and you really want to just figure certain things out. Doesn't matter. Billing, how do I create or translate a specific thing? How do I add an assignee from our big marketplace of linguists and experts to my workflow? Any kind of question. The traditional way would be to either look at a little bubble here that has some help desk kind of inside, right? Or you try to find support somewhere on the website to then find the help documentation. Of course, that's not very intuitive, right? And it requires you to change how you work and try to figure out how our application and navigation works. No one has time for that anymore, right? A much better way is in the same interface here. You just ask a question, right? It doesn't matter if there's an interface that goes with it, but ultimately you just ask a question, right? And it finds your answers right there in your help documentation. While in our first release right now, it is not yet really interactive, right? And we're sort of breaking our paradigm of like doing work for you and working with you here. This will rapidly adjust in Q3 and Q4, and it becomes really more interactive, right? Rather than just showing you the text, let's get the work done, right? Walk me through this process, right? But for now, we will generate a very specific answer for your question. We're also pointing you here to the help documentation so you can easily find it, right? And of course, we are taking that to your support tickets and interacting even with our support and customer service team right here in the same interface. So you don't have to ever think about how do I reach out to Smartcat, how do I interact with Smartcat or learn something about Smartcat, right? It is the same simple intuitive interface that really get you things done. Okay, so that is great. That are some nice examples here of what that will look like. And we will bring more and more of these capabilities, of course, to our experience. But we are here to talk about agents, right? And I feel like the main difference between what I showed you right now, what I showed you right now is a more intuitive, easier user experience for you. When you interact with us, when you interact with our platform, when you come to our platform to do things, right? You deserve a better experience this is a better experience. This is a more natural way of how we work, right? Kind of experience. But agents solve a different purpose. Agents are here to do work for you when you are not working, when you are sleeping, when you are spending time with your family, right? When you are focusing on more strategic, more important work, right? Than exporting, importing files around, right? Or sending them around, or searching for them, or even updating your project management software for to give you an example, right? And agents will work 24/7 for you, right? They will work when you're not working, when your teammates are not working, and ultimately they will create the much needed productivity gains for us and our companies to stay competitive in this brave new world. And now let me walk you actually into what that looks like, right? And first I want to show you how you can actually interact with these agents, right? Like how do you actually put them to work, right? And what you see here on the bottom are, for example, these predefined agents. These are still some very simple agents, these predefined ones that take a file and translate it for you. They walk you through a very specific process. They work in the background for you, right? But we're also launching multi-agent systems in Q3, where you can take an entire website and you don't have to do anything, and it listens and then publishes it, for example, right? But let me now walk you through. So at the beginning, I have like something I want to do. Hey, I want to translate this course, right? In Smartcat. We have now launched this new product. I want to train my sales organization, right? On this specific new product, how to pitch it, how to sell it, right? And of course, it needs to be translated and localized into each of my regional flavors. So I'm not going here in the navigation, search for course, translate, yada, 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 right? So I simply ask, how do I translate a course in Smartcat, right? And what I'm not getting here is not an explanation on how to do it. I immediately get a recommendation to actually use this very specific agent. I have this agent here in my platform, localization Louis, right? Louis, that can help me out with this educational content. All right, that sounds like a good idea. So let's have a look, right? And now it immediately jumps into the next interface where it allows me to now create the project, set the deadline, right? Upload files or connect it to something. I mean, this is how this is configured. It's not configured, let's say, to articulate, to automatically pull the content, right? Or other systems. It is still an upload here, right? But that is how you will now navigate through the system right away. So very intuitive. It finds the agent. Once you have set up this project, once it is connected to the data source, it will run with it and you're good to go, right? Okay, that's great. Now I have put some of these agents to work, right? And they're running to these workflows. But now let's actually have a look how I can create these agents myself. Because let's face it, we all work slightly different, right? We're in different industries. Some of us work in marketing, some of us work in legal, some of us in HR, some of us in a product organization. We all have different workflows, right? We all need to verify that the translation, for example, is the best it can be in different ways. And we need to be able to now set this up and configure it so these agents actually have the right guidance, right? They're grounded in the right facts, right? So that they are not making stuff up along the way, right? And run wild. And that is really important. So first of all, um, I don't know yet if there's an agent already created for me, so I can simply look at my agent library. I can scroll through it, right? I see a specific marketing agent, R&D agents, right? But I don't see the one I'm looking for here right now, right? Nothing screams like what I'm looking for. So I can now go and customize them and build them based on what I need, right? I click plus. Here I give my agent a name. You can translate it, right? And now you go and you define your workflow. And here is where our platform becomes really very different from many of the other platforms that you have seen, right? Deep down, for AI to work, you need to build your knowledge database, right? And that's what helps you to like ground these large language models, right, in some reality. But we are taking that to a whole new level, right? We give you the ability to now add and define skills in our platform. A skill is really these little things that you needed to learn to get your job done, right? um, Access to Jira to manage a project, right? Figuring out where to go in Jira to listen to exactly what would trigger a project, right? These are all skills that you have to learn over time, and we let you define them here and then chain them together in our workflow, in our tool, right? These skills will evolve over time, right? These skills are not like, hey, let me go back to all my old documentation or let me just learn how to speak in a brand voice. No, when we work together as team members, we become better, right? When I work with Nicole and Brooke, for example, they will provide feedback. Hey, Falk, this is not how we want to talk about it. Maybe you're just like that, right? And that's what we're building really into our platform, into the feedback loop of our platform. So these skills are actually evolving. They are growing, they're becoming better. And ultimately, these junior agents become your senior, your principal agents that you can trust more, right? And you will see a lot of changes even here happening in Q3 and 4 in this workflow engine to visualize these better and even bring more of a conversational interface to it. But now you can define, for example, even languages. You give it specific instruction, right? When you kick it off, how long do I actually want to run this agent, right? Specific properties that you can define. So keep in mind, this is not how you set up your project or so. This is where you actually give define guardrails for your agent, right? Where you ground that agent in reality. Here is how I want you to behave. I don't want that you go wild and do stuff you don't want to do, right? I don't want that it just automatically translates my entire website and publishes it in a whole wrong way and now there's chaos, right? That's not good. So here again, like defining what your knowledge source is, right? Any kind of translation memory, glossaries that you want to use, right? And in the background, we are evolving these two things really to become a skill graph where it over time learns from you and so on. So now you get into the next phase here, where you now define how you want to actually use that knowledge, right? Again, you define the guardrails for the agents, right? You limit them to behave in a very specific way so you can trust it more, where you can now, for example, define exactly what your minimum match percentage is for things. Do you want to translate per segment, per document, per whatever it is in this mix, right? All the way down to, okay, there are very specific steps in the process that sometimes require an expert, right? Either from your team to be brought in, right? You have a legal person that can review the content now in French, let's say, and needs to approve it. Here's where you can now define where they're coming from, or you can also select people from our very large marketplace of over 500,000 linguists um, to be selected to help you ensure that there's the right quality, right? Either specific language experts or legal experts in Spain, in Turkey, wherever you need to translate to. All of these people you will find on our marketplace, and you can auto assign them via AI here right away in our platform, right? And the last piece here is if you want this agent to follow some very specific rules, some very specific language, right? Or you have some very specific instructions, you can upload them here and the agent will learn from it, will follow these instructions and will ground itself in it. Okay. So now I set up this agent. Cool. Now I defined this agent that I can use to do work for me, right? And maybe we just look at some of them, what that looks like. Again, I clicked on the agent, I clicked on the project I want to start, I upload a document right here, and I create my project. And here what you see is we are running you now through this project. This agent will run in a very long time often, right? Depending on my process, depend on how many steps I have in here. And again, you see this conversational interface where I can now interact with Smartcat and actually do work. In this case, when I configured this agent, I selected that I want to actually invite people to the mix here, right? I don't want that they auto-assigned right away. So here is where the agent suggests, for example, reviewers for me to complete this task. And here I can then invite them to the work here, right? It also communicates some changes, some updates to me. I get notified, right? And I can now have a regular conversation here with my agent. So that was my demo. Let me summarize again what I actually showed you and where we're going, right? And there's this fundamental shift that we are making in our platform where we now take the first step forward, where we are moving in a direction now to change really how you work, how you interact with our platform, right? Where we lean more into how you want to work, how you interact with your teammates. So we are moving to this co-pilot interface, not just as a side button on the like a help desk kind of thing. That will really become our interface. That's how you will interact with us so that you don't have to worry about where to find something or how our system works. You simply ask. That is, I believe, the new standard for software design. That's how you need to interact to really gain efficiency in our platform, right? The next is you need agents that do work for you, right? While these agents look still very simple that I demoed to you, now really think about what they will become, right? Especially when we integrate with any of your source systems where your content is created, right? They will listen to Canva, they will listen to Adobe Experience Manager, they will listen to changes in the different clouds of Salesforce, and then they will kick off a workflow. They will bring you in when your expertise is needed, when your attention is needed, but otherwise you don't have to worry about it, right? And then they will push the information back once everything is done. That is efficiency gain that we all need, right? So we don't need to export a file anymore, upload it here, translate it, extract the text, and load it back into other systems, right? That is a new name of the game, and something we should expect from our software. Away from using this software as a tool, like a hammer, like a chainsaw, and so on, and more like a teammate that works with me to get the job done, right? And of course, we are all different. We all work in different, processes. We all have very different approval cycles, right? We all use different project management tools, right? And there's a need to customize these workflows, to define very specific conditional routings for different languages, right? Or for specific triggers in the mix, right? We all use different project management tools, and that just has to happen all together, right? The second, when you don't have to worry anymore about Smartcat, right? And you can simply just use us in the background to create content, translate content, and ultimately help you talk to your global audience much faster than you can do today, with less overhead, with less, interaction in between. That's when we will all truly succeed in today's world, and that's really like the shift we're making with our platform. With that, let me stop and hand it back over to Brooke. So Brooke, I'm handing it over back to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attention here.
Thank you, Falk. Yeah, we'll open it for questions. I know that there's a few in the chat. Nicole, do you want to take over as the moderator? Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. Yeah, so we have a really great mix of questions that came in live, and then we had some that people sent ahead of time. So I'll try to bounce between the two, and we'll cover as many as we can. The first one we have, Falk, is how does SmartCat handle industry-specific terms or phrases that may not have direct translations in other languages? And they give an example here of a specific phrase they use, like demand-side platform. It's one of their product terms, but it doesn't always translate exactly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Great question. As I mentioned earlier, um, we have built a skill graph in the background, right? Where it essentially, our system learns from you. Of course, it already has a lot of knowledge that comes from large language models, for example, that learn from the internet around like how certain things are pronounced and said and so on. And what we're doing here is for different languages, we use different models for different industries. We use different models here because they are all slightly different and slightly better or less good. And then it will start learning from you. Let's say at the beginning you onboard, we go scan your website. We will look there what is actually happening. How are you talking about things, right? That will ultimately already improve the quality of the translation. In the next step, you provide feedback, you add it, right? You start changing. You say like, oh, this is not how we talk about it. Please change it. We will learn, we will listen, right? That will go into our skill graph. It will help us evolve. And in the same way as someone new that joins your company has to learn how you as an organization talk, these agents will learn and from you, right? And if you use them across multiple departments in your organization, the faster they will learn, right? The faster the product team will benefit from how the marketing team speaks, or the legal team will benefit from how the marketing team speaks, or the product team speaks, and so on, right? So ultimately, we have a lot of knowledge because it is wide used knowledge, and we allow you to upload specific terms, create a glossary database here, right? But we also evolve with you. We learn from your experts, right? And these agents become more powerful over time. And over time, in this case, doesn't mean years, right? It means like a few translation done in our platform. It evolves. So here's the important thing. Our industry is not static. We as a company is not static. Everything changes, right? And it is super critical that our platform really evolves with you. Because really think about what you translate. You never translate old stuff that you used 3 years ago, right? It's always the cutting edge things. It's always the next product. It is always whatever process you're changing and whatever you do next, right? So it needs to evolve with you. It needs to learn with you, right? And it needs to constantly change. Same as you, as an employee of your organization, constantly evolve, constantly learn, constantly need to do something different. Our system need to do that as well. And that's really what we have built with our skill graph in the center, right? That's how we really grow, not just looking back, old documentation, but really working with your experts on an ongoing basis.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you, Falk. All right. Another really important one that I think is great for you to cover here is the content I load and that the agents learn from secure to just my company and team, or is learning used for all SmartCat customers?
Yeah. Great question as well. I strongly believe we cannot talk about data and AI and not talk about security, data privacy, and trust. And here is my strong belief and Smartcat's strong belief. We are all in an enterprise setting here, right? And we all have our secret sauce. We all have our very unique ways of doing things. And it would be absolutely unacceptable if, because you upload that into SmartCat, the world or any of the other customers will know about it now, right? I mean, that's what happened when your employees use like large language models like ChatGPT, Claude, and so on, right? Ultimately, you train the world in your secret sauce, right? And and that's where we come in. Your data are your data. Your intelligence is your intelligence. They are isolated in our system. They're not shared across our platform. They're not shared between different customers. At no moment in time will we train any of these large language models on your data, right? Think about it. You launch a new product. You don't want that the information go out, right? It would be unacceptable if you go into ChatGPT and you type something in and you would learn now that your competitor is launching this kind of product, right? And we are focusing on the enterprise, the global enterprise world, right? And it is one of our core values that we protect your data, we don't share your data. Your data is your data. Your intelligence is your intelligence, and everything else is just not acceptable. We guarantee you that by contract, right? And it is really like baked into our system by design.
Great, thank you. All right, and then we have a question that came in both live and previously, so I want to make sure that we cover this one. It's specific to a document type of spreadsheets. My team typically sparses spreadsheets by column, often with one source column in English and multiple other columns in target languages. Can our AI agents help handle this step?
So one of our skills in the system here is file processing, right? So as I mentioned earlier, it can come from a source system, Adobe, Salesforce, and so on, and go straight through. But we can also process like almost any file type out there. If there's one that we don't process and that you need, work with us. We will process that file type for you. We process PDFs, Excel, Google Docs, like all these things that you need are part of our mix. Um, I'm actually not 100% sure if we now like do it column by column, but let me come back to you on that one, and product manager on my team can reach out to you. I'm pretty sure we do, but I don't want to be wrong when answering.
No worries. All right, great. And then we have another question here that was upvoted quite a bit live, and you touched on it just a little bit in one of your other answers, referring to the different types of AI or LLMs we might use. So this person asked, does Smartcat use a specifically built LLM, or which does it source from?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a very large data science team, AI team, right, that certainly builds a bunch of specific models, right? When it comes to video processing, dubbing, changing the mouse movements, and so that's where we really innovate. That's where we build a lot of models here. Same for how do we make sure that a PDF is exactly formatted the way in a different language than it in the source language, and so on, right? That are some of the things where we innovate. What we also have done is we have created a system where we constantly monitor which LLM is the best for a specific language, a specific industry, where we do these like blind testing, where we compare different things, right? Where we see which model is the best model. And we use like a wide variety of models, really from Google to ChatGPT to like some other open source model that we operate and run on our end, right? Including some of our own models here as well, where we couldn't find a very good engine. We're translating to all languages in the world. Not every like large language model does that for you, and that's where we need to really innovate and build our own model. So at the end of the day, what we care about the most is that you get the best quality possible and that your data are secured, right? If we can combine both of these things, right, we will then select a different model. Of course, you know about it in our data processing agreements. You will see exactly what models we use and all this kind of stuff, right? We were very transparent about that. But again, that's the most important to us: quality and security. If we cannot guarantee either, we will build our own. If we see that there's better quality coming from some of the larger models available, we will use those, right? But here's a but. We will always ground it in your reality, your data, right? The quality is very different if you go to ChatGPT versus our platform, right? in our platform. It knows about you, your terminology, and so on. We are not ever using just generic large language models. If that makes sense.
Yes, yes, thank you. All right, and then we got a couple different questions around APIs. There's one in the chat right now about how, like, will AI help guide a user through the process of creating a project with an API to Salsify. There's one that came in before the webinar on, how the SmartCats API can be leveraged with agents. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. You will see some fundamental shift here coming your way, not with the initial release, right? It will probably come later in Q3, maybe early Q4. Our goal here is to drive larger automation, right? That means we need to open up our platform to integrate with your ecosystem of tools. We are very realistic that you do your work probably somewhere else, and we need to integrate with these tools, right? Any tool where you generate content, any tool where you manage your projects or so, right? We launch a whole new set of APIs for you to interact with these agents, to build these agents, to influence the workflows, to push data into our platform, right? Um, um, the regular APIs that you used to, some systems still depend on it. We are also moving more towards like these agent-specific APIs, MCP, agent-to-agent integration, right? Because deep down, as I mentioned earlier, we are very realistic that you might not want to come to Smartcat to use Smartcat. What if you use Salesforce? Right? Why not bring the Smartcat agent into that world, right? And interact there with it through the Salesforce platform, through the Adobe platform, through Salsify, right? Of course, that all depends on how these companies innovate and how fast they start adopting these new standards. But that is what we're launching, a complete new developer user experience, essentially new APIs, new capabilities to interact with our platform in modern ways.
Great.
Yeah.
I think we have time for at least one more, maybe two. We'll try to get them in. But I've gotten a question about how to handle multiple languages at once within one project. So, like, if you're trying to translate a document into multiple languages, do I have to create several projects for each one? And how can it really help localize for, like, the difference between like Brazilian Portuguese and European Portuguese, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. Same project. So what you will see is a lot of innovation happening here in Q3 and Q4. Right. At the moment, the way it works is it is all brought together into one project, and then you can really like provide feedback and edit, translation by translation. We are moving towards an interface where you can do it in the same editor. You see it all at the same time, right, next to each other, right, in the context of that document, right? We also get you to a place where you can select your editing experience. Do you want the more cat editor like, right, the linguistic editing experience? Do you want more like a Google Docs, like side by side, right, full context experience? Do you want to see website next to website, right? Do you want to see the email campaign next to the email campaign in there, and then have different languages there, and so, right? Those are some of the things where we now innovate. But at the end, where it is today, it is one project. Everything is managed in one project. Doesn't matter how many languages and what different file types, right? You can all do it in one project. You don't need to create different projects.
Wonderful. Well, with that, we're about at time, so we're going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for all of your questions. I will pop this up on the screen really quick just to make sure that you save the date. I know you're really excited about the new way to work within our platform and the agents and how they can really help you get work done. So they will be coming late July, and that's when you'll have the opportunity to really start exploring this and turn this on for your organization or purchase it for the first time. If you do have future questions, feel free to reach out to us on via our website or through your customer success manager or your sales rep, whoever you're working with. You're also welcome to connect with myself and Falk and Brooke on LinkedIn for more conversation. We always welcome that. So with that, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.